Here. Thank you very much. Let the record show that all commissioners are in attendance. We'll move on now to a motion to approve the agenda. What are the additions this time?
I'll move to approve it as presented.
One motion, Commissioner Coleman support to approve the agenda. Any discussion? None in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Agenda is approved. And we'll move right into our special presentation at this time. None.
No, that's for tomorrow.
Okay, so we'll switch that to tomorrow. So then in that case, we'll go on to public comments, and we'll start off with Andrew Kelly of Garrison.
Andrea.
And Andrea, Wasco, Michigan. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Hello. My name is Andrea Kelly Garrison, and I'm running for the Democratic State Rep for our District 85. And I'm here because I strongly oppose the so-called sanctuary county resolution for Shiawassee County. Our Democrats are for common sense gun laws that save lives and against these divisive-based politics, especially during a raging pandemic. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We're now on to ME. And Fire Michigan.
Excuse my public speaking, it's not something I do professionally. Good evening, my name is Anthony Tolbert. I'm a resident of Shiawassee County. I'm the volunteer chairman for the Shiawassee County chapter of Michigan for the Second Amendment Sanctuary Counties. We're requesting that you, the commissioners, unanimously follow the national and state-wide movement in adopting this resolution. We have over 700 Shiawassee County resident signatures supporting the adoption of this petition, of this resolution today. This movement really took national stage earlier this year when the Democrat-controlled government in Virginia took direct aim at their residents' constitutional rights. While our liberal and progressive friends in this county assure us that our 2A rights are not going anywhere, we can simply point to the mainstream politics to know this simply is not true if they were to get their wish. Our current governor and attorney general of the opposing party, our current governor and attorney general, as well as the opposing party's presidential candidates, have called for things such as red flag laws, common sense gun laws, bans, and candidate Biden outright confiscations. We cannot kid ourselves, this is mainstream politics. While I wish this was not a Democrat versus Republican issue, it is eye-opening to see a party so opposed to reaffirming the part of the Bill of Rights that ensures protections of all others, and the very Constitution they swore to uphold when entering office. It is also quite ironic that there is opposition to a sanctuary resolution for a lawful Second Amendment by a party that is so willingly and vocally supporting the unlawful sanctuary status for illegal immigrants in cities across America. The current state of affairs with regard to the COVID-19 pandemic, where law enforcement were forced to reduce staff and cut budgets, and publicly list crimes they would not be responding to across the country, to calls for the defunding and disbanding of local police departments, all point to why we should support our Second Amendment movement even more passionately than we did at the beginning. It is our intent to send a message to Lansing and anywhere else that may look to infringe on our God-given, constitutionally protected rights, that we will not stand for it. We look to stand together with the 26 other Michigan counties in Michigan and hundreds across the country to show where the silent majority of this country stands. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to Mr. Tom Mankey, also Michigan. Great news.
Yeah. Yes. Wonderful news. I don't know how many of you watched our Governor Whitmer spin lies today. She did really good. She refused to talk about how the death rate is down, and how even though that we want people tested, and we're finding that people in the communities have it, nobody's getting sick. but that hurts her narrative. So today she claimed that we all must wear this or she is going to shut down our auto plants. By God, we got to mind the mom. But here's the good news, and I see our health department isn't here to share it today. They shared it today, and I'm going to give you their straight out numbers. We've got the best numbers in Shiawassee County than we've had since March. We're down to only 4 people in this county, even though our health director blasted Walmart and a church and a barber and on and on and on. We're down 67,000 people in this county. We're down to only 4. And you know how many in the hospital? None. We haven't had any in the hospital for a long time. What we are finding out, and this is great because this is what we were told we had to find out. The more testing, the more people are found to have it. And just like that 170 some that had it over at Harper's in Lansing, nobody was hospitalized. Nobody got sick. We are finding that this is, as our testing goes up, as the numbers go up, actually what we're finding is the deaths and the sickness is dropping rapidly. So, as we wear this goofy mask here in Shiawassee County today, with only 4 cases out of 67,000, 27 deaths, 18 or 19 of them all in a nursing homes, and not one straight COVID. They were all underlying issues. We're doing great here. So that's the great news. Enjoy Shiawassee County. And enjoy Michigan, because what we're finding is, even though the numbers are going up, deaths and sickness are going. Or at least down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. May. Is there anyone at this time from the public that feels that they would like to address the board? You'll have another opportunity at the end of the meeting, so feel moved.
Yes, I would.
Okay, the floor is yours. If I can only get your name after you're done and your address, and
Okay.
pass it to our clerk.
My name is Howard Galloway, and I'm new to, I think, most of you here. It's nice to see your faces, or at least part of your faces. I'm the vice chair for the Second Amendment group in Shiawassee County, and I just want to call attention to, let's see, it's what I refer to as the discretion clause. It's on the second page, the second paragraph of the proposed resolution, and it really needs to be called out. It's an especially important clause. Let me go ahead and read some of the info that I have here. The original unedited version of the resolution to declare Shiawassee County to be a Second Amendment sanctuary county, which awaits your approval by vote, encourages law enforcement to use discretion to recognize constitutional from unconstitutional law and the application thereof, to recognize and make a distinction between good law and bad law. Since prosecuting attorneys and sheriffs are elected officials, these posts are subject to change. The aforementioned discretion on the second page, the second paragraph, encourages office holders to be held accountable to conform to the original intent of constitutional law. Even though the resolution is not a legal document per se, rather an agreed upon set of ideas. This is why it is critical to elect officials who revere our Constitution of the United States of America and are not inclined to replace our republic with a subversive form of tyrannical government. And we've seen plenty of that going around this country in the last few months, and I think there's a lot of us who are damn fed up with it. I stand with constitutional law enforcement and our Sheriff, Brian Beagle. We stand with Brian and we stand with all law enforcement. And with all due respect to everybody here, we don't need permission to stand next to and for law enforcement. Thank you.
you very much. Anybody else at this time who would like to address the board?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, yeah, for, same thing, name.
Yep,
and-
I'm Mike Lake, I got the card here, I didn't grab a pen here, so I'll fill it out. I know we have a young lady here running for the Democrat Party here, but even watching CNN, watching the mainstream news media that I don't pay much attention to, every place where the Democrats have pushed upon all of us the unconstitutional, infringing on my rights to, as be a law-abiding citizen. Look at all the death rate they have there. 99.9% of all of the gun violence is an illegally obtained firearm. I know these gentlemen here that are here to support this. Everything they've done is legal. They've done it by what the law says, which is a lot of it an infringement on my, it says it shall not be infringed. We're being infringed. Common sense gun laws. Who's common sense? I have worked with people that have never scored less than a 100 on any test they took in college, all the way through college. They were probably some of the most ignorant people I ever worked with, let alone walk down the aisle in a GM factory without getting them run over by a fork truck. They had to have somebody assigned to them. And here we are, you know, just regular lay people. I've worked 40 years of my life for this. Where's my Constitution going today? I have nephews, I have uncles, I have, even my grandfather was a doughboy in World War I. They didn't fight for us to give up all of these things. Shiawassee County, in my opinion, has always been a very safe place to live. I know, John, I've known your family for years. You remember my mother, Joanne? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The corruption that's going on with the corona thing that's going on. My mother, at 80 some odd years old, diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, advanced, last December. She lasted right up into the corona thing, stay home, stay safe orders. She passed away on her death certificate. The Democrats have control of it.
Sure.
The Democrats have control of it. On her death certificate, it says she died of corona. She was in the hospital. She was released to come home to die. She came home, she died. We were all there. No, let's not give this up. Let's not give this up. This is my Constitution we're talking about. It's not a political right. It says in the Constitution it's a God-given right. People can't take away God's given rights, can they, John?
No.
Can they? Okay, let's make this a sanctuary county. Let's join the rest of America. Let's be recognized. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My fault for not addressing this earlier. I know that tensions and passion can run high when we're up here speaking, but let's always direct our comments toward the board chair, never into the audience, okay? That was my fault for not making that clear.
And I apologize.
No problem.
I apologize.
And I saw one more hand that went up. Was there still? We'll let you speak at the end because we want to keep things moving. But there was one person that had spoke. If you still want to, you can have the floor. If not, we'll move on. Anyone? All right. Hearing none. At this time, we'll go ahead and move on to our committee motions and reports, and we'll start off with the Finance and Administration Committee. Commissioner Paul, you have it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to ratify the county coordinator contract as negotiated and executed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the county coordinator's contract, item A. Any commissioner discussion or questions over the item at this time? All right. Hearing none. All in favor of moving item A on to final vote? For final vote tomorrow, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion will carry to tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to conditionally extend the Michigan Work Share Program dependent upon additional state or federal supplemental funding.
Second. A motion and a second for item B under finance. Commissioner, questions or discussion over this item? Do we all recognize?
Have you heard anything in the last day or two? I mean, this is just beginning to wind up in case something comes of it, correct?
Yes, so as of this moment right now, Congress or the state has not taken any action on this. However, they will take action, at least that is my thought, between now and the next Board of Commissioners meeting. And I would prefer us not to have any kind of lag or gap in the work share program if we're going to continue it. As I imagine will be a last minute vote on their part. So I'm just asking for permission to extend it dependent on some amount of additional funding. But if we do not get any additional funding, we will begin with our regular scheduled programming on the 27th.
Any other questions? All in favor of moving item B forward to tomorrow, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, motion carries.
I move to approve the coordinator's budget memo and the budget timeline as presented.
Second.
Motion and second. Everybody familiar with the budget timeline? Comfortable with it? Questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, item C, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes Finance and Administration Committee.
Thank you, Commissioner Baumann. We'll move right into our Econ and Physical Development Committee, and you still have.
I move to approve the community development fee schedule resolution as presented.
Motion and second for item A under Econ, Physical Development, questions, discussion over the item. Hearing none, all in favor of item A's resolution, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, motion will carry.
I move to approve the resolution establishing a voluntary property assessed clean energy program, PACE.
Okay, we have a motion and support, I will vote for discussion, questions.
There's a hearing on this tomorrow night, is that true?
That was what I was going to say. Tomorrow, we will have a public hearing right at the beginning of the meeting, which is required before passing the resolution. During such time, Justin Barbat will be here, I believe, with a couple of business owners to present about the PACE program.
And to be clear, a completely voluntary program.
Correct. It is.
Something that will be thrust on any citizen.
Correct. PACE is only for businesses that want to add to their taxes as a way to finance additional repairs to their property that will increase energy efficiency, walls, windows, lighting, etc. And it's a way of getting those payments set so they can finance it. But it's completely voluntary. It's something they set and choose. We are just helping assist with that process. The board has to approve it.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion over the item? Hearing none, all in favor of item B, moving forward to tomorrow, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, motion will carry.
Mr. Chairman, concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Baumann. At this time, we'll go ahead and move on to our committee of the whole report, which will be me as chair, so we'll let the vice chair read off who is my vice chair.
Commissioner Olshausen, but I'll handle the,
You got it. You have the floor.
I will make a motion to approve the resolution of the Charlotte County to be a second amendment to Sanctuary County as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second on item A, the resolution of Shiawassee County becoming a second amendment. To be clear, whatever is voted on today, we'll send it to tomorrow, and nothing is final until the Thursday of vote. As I said, the floor is now open for commissioner discussions, questions, and Commissioner Webster.
I'd like to make a comment. I want to start by saying I strongly support Second Amendment rights and the Constitution. And I'm sure there are laws out there that are violating the Second Amendment rights. But I think more core to the Constitution than the Second Amendment is the mental authority to local law enforcement, puts an additional burden on them, and frankly violates the Constitution. Unconstitutional laws have to be appealed through the courts. If we don't like what the courts decide, then we have to decide in the voting booth to elect different people, different judges. So, I feel like I have a duty to uphold the whole Constitution, and I would certainly hope that anyone who believes that their constitutional rights have been violated by laws that are infringing on the Second Amendment would go through the court system in order to address those. And so I'm going to vote no on this resolution because I think that it subverts the Constitution as a whole.
Thank you, Commissioner Webster. Commissioner McMaster.
So I've received a lot of emails, phone calls, many of them hateful, many of them threatening. Since this issue came about, discussion started at the beginning of the year. Some of the most sour calls were actually from local Democratic Party leadership, former leadership already, Tom Ford. I'll get to the parties and stuff here in a little bit, but I know my truth. And some of my constituents may disagree with this, and that's their right. But by far, the majority of constituents in my district in this county support this. I write a column, covers 4 counties. I asked for input, I received input from Democrats and Republicans, all positive, none of it negative. Clearly, this support has outweighed the people that called and yelled at me, calling me backwoods hick in the country. I did my homework on this. It's not an NRA conspiracy. It's Tom Ford claim. I called the NRA, a friend who's an attorney, a Second Amendment attorney, a natural resources conservation attorney. She sits on the NRA board. I spoke to numerous attorneys at NRA that they did not come up with this language. I'm not supporting this, I'm not against it, I'm kind of neutral. I offered their advice, making some changes. Clearly, it's not a NRA conspiracy. As for COVID, there's a reason why we're doing this in July, not in March. Some of us were approached. Rip's constituent, my constituents, which are here this evening, approached us in January or February, maybe even December, I don't remember. When we started working on this, it was delayed because of COVID. So to say that we haven't been respectful of COVID and everything we've been doing at that, involved at that. And probably almost 4 years of my public service, this will probably be the vote that I would be the most proud of. I'll probably remember the most. I know the demographics of this county, probably more so than anyone in this room. I know they are for the House District, and Senate District, the Congressional District, or Little Lake, close Second Amendment, or Michigan. This isn't because we're made up of so many Republicans. It's because in our area, we have conservative Democrats, we have independent swing voters, and we have Republicans who support the Second Amendment. So while we are a total Republican board, this is not a partisan issue. And our vote tonight is going to reflect the different political makeup we have in this county. So, like I said, I couldn't tell you if it's been 10 to 1, 25 to 1, 50 to 1. I'd have to say it's probably closer to 50 to 1 people that have written email, called, stopped me on the street. Hey, where do we sanctuary county? We're going to become one. What's your plan? What's your vote? And I told them for months and months and months of doing this research to make sure we're doing this right. Clearly, we're not the first county that's going to vote for this. I believe we're probably going to be the 46th county out of 83. I know we won't be last, and I know all 83 counties will vote for this. It's completely symbolic. We have no authority or jurisdiction over our other county-wide elected officials. This is just a statement, a resolution from our board, saying we support the Second Amendment, and let others know that are above us in the political office. This local government, and we stand with other local governments, in support of the Second Amendment. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Discussion. Commissioner, say something. I have laid in front of all of you guys the resolution. So I don't think we're out in left field, I don't think we're radical. I mean, that's more than half in the state. And we also have House Resolution 227, that was a resolution to reaffirm the rights of Michigan residents to keep bear arms under the Constitution of the State of Michigan of 1963 and the Constitution of the United States. Whereas Article 1, Section 6 of the Constitution of the State of Michigan of 1963 clearly affirms the right to keep and bear arms. This provision prescribes that the primary purpose of the right to keep and bear arms is not related solely to hunting, but undoubtedly allows Michigan residents to be able to protect themselves and families from private lawlessness and other persons or potential tyranny of governments. And whereas the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States clearly states that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And whereas the Michigan legislature will not pass laws that would infringe upon the ability of Michigan residents to own and keep firearms, the Michigan legislature will ensure that legislation in violation of our constitutional right to bear arms will not be imposed upon the citizens of Michigan by either the federal government or itself, and would view such infringements as violations of both the Second Amendment and the Constitution of the State of Michigan of 1963. Now therefore it be resolved by the House of Representatives that we reaffirm the right of Michigan residents to keep and bear arms under the Constitution of the State of Michigan and the Constitution of the United States. So it is reaching Lansing. Lansing is doing it. I mean, I think we're in times right now where our rights are, 1 and 2 probably for a reason. They're probably the most, two that are attacked the most. And, I think the freedom to bear arms is one of the most important rights that's granted to us. So this simply just reaffirms that we trust, and we trust in our sheriff, we trust in our prosecutor, that they make sound discretion and that they enforce constitutional laws and will not enforce anything unconstitutional on any of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rubin. Any other commissioner discussion before this goes to vote?
Mr. Marks, may I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
If this resolution just said that we support the Second Amendment, I could support that. When it says that we give discretion to the sheriff and the prosecutor to, and it's worded differently in this new draft, but the intent is, as Chairman Root just stated, is that they can use their discretion to not enforce laws if they believe those laws are unconstitutional. That's where I feel like this document violates the Constitution. If a law is unconstitutional, it has to be taken in litigation to the court and appealed through the courts and determined by the Supreme Court whether or not it is constitutional law, as we've seen happen very effectively in our own community recently. So that's why I feel like this is not the right document for us. I would happily support something that supports the Second Amendment.
Again, it's discretion of our prosecutor and our sheriff. We have no control over what they enforce and how they enforce the laws. So it is, again, up to them. We are not telling them to not or do or don't. It is completely up to them. That's why it says the discretion, and that's why it was read to us that those offices also change, and it's up to that discretion of that individual to make that call. The Board of Commissioners are not telling the prosecutor or the sheriff what to do in any way.
Last call. All right, hearing none. All in favor of moving item A on to tomorrow? We don't need to do a roll call for today, now it'll be official. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
I
All right, item A will officially be taken up tomorrow for final votes. Move.
Okay, agenda item B under committee of the whole is the discussion of the GIS mapping fees. I brought that to us on Monday because we got a lot of letters. I think you guys all have them on your desk now. We got a lot of emails and letters, probably pre-COVID and then maybe during COVID, and it kind of just got, left in the, lost in the shuffle somewhere. So we do need to look at them. We do have the fee schedule here. I know there's some, like some school districts, our neighboring counties, some other municipalities that help us out that we kind of, they get also share us their parcel data, so maybe we want to be in some kind of cooperative agreement with them, but we as a board need to make a decision on what we want to do, if we want to half price cost to school districts, or do we want to give things to school districts for free? Do we want to leave full price completely? I mean, it's our discretion, but once we kind of do it, we're set, and we're not going to ever change back. So we either leave it full price as all, or work with some of our partners to work out some sort of arrangement. I know the city of Perry is helpful. They also utilize our equalization, so they're kind of a partner in a way. The city of Wausau shares a lot of parcel data and information with our GIS and equalization, so we just need to kind of come up with this, because I know I wasn't comfortable just saying charge them all, don't charge them anything, so I think we kind of need to have a discussion on what we're thinking we should do moving forward. But everyone did get the email too. Jenna and Tony, neither one could be here today, but they can be here tomorrow. So if we want to take this discussion up tomorrow when they're here to kind of give us a little more of an agenda, I'll have a pretty good understanding of what we've done in the past too, because I think we shared a lot of stuff from people before we were actually up and running completely with our full GIS. So people that have helped us in the past, we don't want to, but we also got to remember we have a maintenance fee every year that we do have to pay if we, So that's a discussion, I guess, I'd be in favor of just moving it to tomorrow at least. I don't even know if we need a motion to move a discussion, but I don't know if we make any votes tomorrow. I want it to be on the agenda just so it's.
I think we ought to discuss it a little more. I'm not up to date on it, so I haven't discussed it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to look through that too tonight maybe for tomorrow, and then like I said, Tony and Jenna can be here tomorrow and give us more of a better understanding of who's helped out with what and who we've already been working with. I know there's one in there about the DDA and Lothrop that we gave, I believe we gave them a discounted rate for their DDA, so we kind of need to make sure we're following. If another DDA asks, we don't want to charge a full price, so we just need to get the background, and it'd be better from them. But I know I've been copied on a lot of these emails, and then COVID hit, and so. Or we can wait, we can wait another month if you want to do that too.
Yeah, well, that's what I think maybe.
Okay, well, we can do that. If everybody wants to look it over a month, have Tony then come tomorrow just to give us an understanding, and then we can look at it next month. I don't think any of it's critical. Like I said, though, some of it's been before COVID, so I don't know. Maybe they can address tomorrow on the ones that maybe are a little more critical, but.
So is this something we need to come up with policy? Sounds like, so that we're not on the line because we let this.
Yeah, because we've already adopted,
We've got a rate
a fee schedule, so we need to, if we're gonna give special treatment to school districts and other local municipalities, then it's gotta be written in somewhere, so.
I think a lot of thought needs to be taken into when we're sharing it or discounting it to other government entities. They're just using it in their normal business or their normal daily operations, maybe not trying to generate extra revenue. But then look at the public or businesses that are trying to generate revenue that we charge appropriately.
This almost sounds like we could use a workshop on something like this.
Yeah, maybe we should. I just know something that I kept getting emails from, and I thought, man, I probably better get it at least in front of you guys so you kind of are aware of it. But yeah, if you want to wait another month, that's fine. Brian and I can certainly talk to Tony and them and reach out and put something together over the month. Maybe that'd be easier than just even bother with it tomorrow, so.
Just put it on.
We can still have them come tomorrow, because I haven't, what's going on, I haven't had a discussion on it yet.
Okay. Or we can still plan on them coming in, and then we'll go have them, then you guys can get an understanding of what they're asking for, because I know I'm not, giving you all the details that you guys need to know, but.
Sure.
Yes.
So as you guys are thinking about it tomorrow and they're presenting, I would I'd recommend thinking about like some kind of framework that puts all municipalities and all school districts together as one to be treated equally, and then everyone else separately, because those are technically constituent members of different departments of the county that we work with on different things, so they may have a different use than a business, realtor, developer, etc. So just to think about as you're hearing the presentation.
Any other discussion on that item?
I just like it to cover our costs, I don't know what the cost is every year.
How do we come close to what we paid for the GIS system?
I don't think it's really not that much. I mean, the initial setup was the big cost.
Yeah.
I believe the maintenance fees and the cost each year is probably about $1,500.
Oh, okay. So it's a big line, all right, any other discussion on the item? In that case, let's move right into your chairman's report.
Okay, well, for today, I actually have nothing, so we can.
Gotcha there. So, Dr. Boggs, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to hit a couple of things to make you guys aware of. First, thank you all for advancing my contract to its final reading tomorrow. I look forward to working with everyone. Second, we did submit a grant for the first responders yesterday, and that is part of the CARES Act. And if it is awarded, I will be bringing it back to the board for your approval. That was for a stipend for anyone that worked in the sheriff's department, the jail, 911, etc., as part of a hazard pay. But that will only be awarded. The only way they will get it is if we are awarded, and if we are awarded to after approval. The second one that we are working on, and Tracy and Derek are working on that right now, actually. We've been going back and forth about it, is a second CARES application that will cover our payroll expenses from the month from March and April. This is a totaling about $1.2 million worth of reimbursable expenses from the state. We hope to either get that in yet tonight or first thing tomorrow to help cover some of the costs that we've experienced during this pandemic. Next, the state will be doing something different with revenue sharing. There will be more information to come about that in the coming weeks. At this point in time, we will not be getting our third quarter revenue sharing check as we normally would. They are going to expense it to the county in a different way through some of this CARES money, and it's supposed to be approximately 50% more than we would normally get in our third quarter check. More information to come on that, but it has not been sent to us quite yet. Today, probably last month sometime, we received some information about an opioid lawsuit settlement. Today I was working on the paperwork for that yesterday, and today we are planning on joining the settlement conference to address some of the opioid-related issues that have happened in Shiawassee County. This is being represented by a big firm, so there's no expense to us, but we may be able to get some reimbursable expenses for things that we have experienced in the court system, the jails, etc., due to opioid-related deaths. We'll be having more information coming on that soon. After the budget memo is approved tomorrow, we will be sending that out to all the departments to start working on their budgets. As noted in the memo, they should be taking last year's budget and then reducing it by 15%. Each fund that is not a reimbursable fund, each fund that is not a grant fund, or a revolving fund. Those are different types of funding. Those have different expectations. But we will begin the budget hearing process with each one of the departments in the coming months. And then we hope to have a budget presented to the board in November of this year instead of December. Commissioner Plowman and Chairman Root and myself will be meeting to talk about some healthcare related changes. We had a healthcare audit completed recently. They seem to believe that we can make some adjustments to our plans and coverage without changing any coverage related to the employee, but still substantially save the county money. So hopefully we will have a report for that in the coming weeks. And lastly, we are continuing to look at changes to retirement. We have met with one provider in particular, and we're going to be meeting with another one to look at closing MERS to all new employees and seeing if any employees that have less than 10 years are interested in moving into the new program, but all new employees will then be part of this additional one. And we will be approaching each and every bargaining unit and union to open it up for these discussions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bugs, for that report. Yes?
Can I have a couple questions?
Yep.
The opioid, is this part of the lawsuit we're already part of, or is this a different one?
I believe it is a different one than what, I have no record of anything that was for a previous lawsuit. Chairman Rudd has talked to me about it, but this is just a settlement-related element.
So we don't even know if it ever got done.
My guess is it didn't get done.
Do you know what the name of the company was?
I'm sure I have.
It'll be in the minutes. Okay. It'll be in the meeting. We had
I'll look to
presentation.
see if it's the same one.
And then secondly, on the COVID pay, I would just like to, I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but there are some employees, I don't know if they're all within the sheriff's department or they're elsewhere, but there are some full-time employees, due to staffing levels issues, are not able to take the current furlough. It would be nice if we could have a conversation maybe about some of them and if this money becomes available. And maybe they're gonna be covered under it, I'm not sure. But well, I do know that there are some employees out there that are full-time that for whatever reason have not been able to do the furlough. And they're not elected officials. In particular.
Generally, if they were not able to do the furlough program, it was for a handful of reasons. One, they were either too new and didn't have the number of prerequisite days before you could be part of the work share program. Or two, they were in a particular department where the staffing was so low
Yeah, I
that
believe it's the latter. I believe it's the latter.
them being gone would prevent the department from functioning. For example, 911, kitchen cook staff in the jail, they couldn't do it because there are so few employees that if they weren't there, they wouldn't be able to cover those things. So I can, if we get the funding, I can work up a proposal and bring it to the board for approval for something if that is the wish of the board.
I'm good, thank you.
Any other commissioners have a comment at this time? I'm gonna take a second to make a comment, issue that came up to me as a township resident, I won't use his name, in this meeting, but he called, issue with ZBA, the zoning board of appeals, which, as you know, exists to create variances and things like that, and there's issues that maybe the rules say no, but when you get to the ZBA board, maybe a little common sense is used and we can work something out. Well, this individual had 1.999 acres and asked for a variance so he could split his property in two, the one for his house and then 1 acre almost for his son's little house. He was rejected, and it was rude, and I think he was 2 inches off to be eligible for a variance without even needing to go to ZBA. If we have a zoning board of appeals, their job is to take a look at common sense issues, right? Why would we have a ZBA board if we're just gonna say no on everything? It's in our best interest that we are building in this county, that we are attracting citizens, businesses, and everything in this county. And here we are. I've been on this board 4 years, and 4 years later, we still have a board. And not everyone on the board, I won't mention names, but if you investigate on your own, you will see people that do not want business in this county. And I, for one, am getting sick of it, and I encourage all of you to take a look, do your investigations, because I am in favor of removing individuals on that board that do not do their statutory duty. If they're sitting there saying they want everything, I'll be the first to say, I want off. I'll say it publicly. I don't want to say that. If you want to know the name of the individual, so you can contact them, I can tell you that right away. I'll use his name. This is just another issue. It's been again and again for 4 years now. So, yes, sir.
I completely agree with you. This is the one board in my 4 years we've struggled. We've struggled to get people appointed. We've struggled to have those appointees show up. We've had lawsuits. And all the planning commission, we've kind of reworked the planning commission the last couple of years. We really seriously need to look at future or a conversation about that board and who's selected and, you know. I mean, for a while, people purposely weren't showing up, so there's no vote. That's what got us into the loan lawsuit. And we all know how booming and successful that business is over at Woodall Township right now. So, I agree with you completely.
Yeah, just want to build, just want to grow, especially now. Any other commissioners have any comment before we move into public comment? Non-public comment? Thank you, guys. And in that case, we'll move on to our final opportunity for any citizen to address the board. I don't have any second slips, but anyone who wanted to talk before, you now have your opportunity. Would you, your floor is yours.
Okay, so Commissioner Webster kind of said what I was thinking, but I just want to say that Democrats aren't against the Second Amendment, and I think this whole committee should vote, for the Second Amendment. But what I'm opposed to, and people that I've been talking to in the district, is the misunderstanding of how. I'll read this to you. There just went away. That the Second Amendment, that the power of local jurisdictions, which is in this amendment, it's not local, it's based on the state. It's state constitution, statutes, and common law generally affirm the federal and the state law, and it's not up to the local jurisdiction to make up their mind what laws to enact or use their discretion. And that's the part that the people I've been talking to have a problem with in this. So I would suggest and hope that you would look at the entire district. There's a lot of people in the district, different views. Just maybe vote on a different type of resolution that doesn't include that discretion, and I think you'd find that there'd be a lot more support for the Second Amendment and no political agendas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mankey?
You know, I just can't leave today without giving good news. I mean, all we hear is bad news, bad news, bad news. And if you remember, we were all in this room back in March when our health department hired a man to do all of these charts. And one of the charts said that on May 15th that we were going to have 600 people that day in the hospital dying of COVID. We're going to have all of these people with COVID and dying in this county. He's not here today. And he released the numbers today that I'm giving you. These are his numbers. Only 4 in the county. He won't come in here and tell you that. How many times have I asked you, and earlier this week when I asked him to stand up and tell you guys the good news. And he won't tell you the good news because he follows the Queen. And the Queen says, we are going to wear these masks or she's going to send us to our basements again. Well, bottom line, our good news is in the county, in the state today, we have 71,000 out of 10 million people, we have 71,197 cases. Out of 10 million people, we had 6,085 deaths. Florida, 20-some million people, so only had 4,000 deaths. Why? Because our governor stuck COVID people in nursing homes. 2/3 of our people in Shiawassee County that died were in nursing homes. So as long as we spin it that we got to wear this, it keeps us off of her on how many people died because of her. So again, 262 confirmed cases in the county, 231 recovered, 27 deaths total, and none died straight of COVID. It was all, like we heard, underlying issues or other things, but we got that number in. And we only have 4. 67,000 people, we only have 4. And we're acting like sheep today. I hope, what I'd like you all to do is to put out a statement like you are on the Second Amendment rights, but our rights of not becoming sheep. The numbers don't lie. 4 out of 67,000 people today. Nobody's in the hospital. Nobody's dying, and nobody is sick. Thank you.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yep.
My mother was sent home to die. She did not have COVID. She died of pancreas cancer. On her death certificate, I can't trust my government because they put on her death certificate, she died of COVID. She died of pancreas, advanced cancer. If she had COVID, we know she would have been let go home, right? Especially back in March, April. Remember? I can't trust my government. I can't trust my state government. So part of your numbers are, how many people died in Michigan of COVID? 6,000 some odd? Yeah.
Yes.
My mother, part of that number. Take one off of that, I'll verify it. I gave her a hug and a kiss that day she died. I would like this commission to really consider what's going on with this COVID thing. Put this out in the news. All of us here have been through the COVID thing. If my mother had COVID, I would have been able to give her that hug and kiss that day she died. They would not have released her from the hospital from when we died. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for yours. Anybody else, last chance for a comment?
I just want to say thank you, Chairman Root, Chairman McMaster, Chairman Webster. Appreciate your comments and your opinions and bringing us to the board for a vote. I look forward to supporting you guys tomorrow when we adopt it. Thank you.
My name is Tim Drager. I'm the local group lead for Moms Demand Action, Genesee area, which includes volunteers from the Shiawassee County area as well. Vice Chair Root, I sent you a letter just about a half hour ago. I'm sure you probably haven't seen it yet. This is in your email inbox as well, and Mr. Mark's yours as well. I'm not going to read the letter. I just want to bring out a couple of points. I am a gun owner. I don't want my guns taken away. However, we are very clear in this country what is the legislative branch, what is the executive branch, and what is the judicial branch. In the letter we shared with you, we talked about the fact that you're part of a legislative branch. You're asking the sheriff, who's part of the executive branch, to act as if they're in the judicial branch and to determine what is actually constitutional. In our country, we have a system of checks and balances for that reason. And one of the things I point out is that ironically in the past, the gun lobby has held itself out as a supporter of the rule of law. I am a gun owner and a former NRA member. I too support the rule of law. Wayne LaPierre, the vice president of the NRA, criticized the Obama administration, stating that our liberties cannot so long survive a regime that destroys the rule of law, and asked former Attorney General Holder what about his duty to uphold the Constitution and to fairly and impartially carry out laws enacted by the legislative branches of our government. Yet now that an increasing number of states, Michigan, Virginia, and a whole host of red and blue states, are enacting not taking guns away from people, but keeping guns out of the hands of people like my uncle, who was a police officer who told his wife he was going to take his life with his revolver. She had no opportunity to get that gun away, and my uncle, Dick Drager, took his life. My cousin Carl did the same. Women are 11 times more likely in this country to die at the hands of their spouse if that spouse has a gun, and police are unable to get an extreme risk protection order to remove that gun and protect the life of that woman. It is imperative that we look at these Second Amendment sanctuary resolutions to actually be a dangerous hypocrisy and a threat to our system of government. I strongly urge you to consider what your role is versus what the judiciary's role is. Support the Second Amendment. I do. I'm a gun owner. But Moms Demand Action believes that we can take responsible action to keep the guns out of the hands of felons, to keep the guns out of the hands of abusers, keep all of us safe, keep our rights sacrosanct. But this resolution doesn't do any of that. It confuses people, and unfortunately it could confuse the mother of a child who's at risk for herself or her child if that spouse has a gun and has threatened them. So please, protect the people of your county. Reconsider this resolution. Support the Second Amendment. Absolutely. But please, don't make it so that your sheriff and your law enforcement are confused with the judicial branch. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's go. All right, hearing none,